For practice set, exercise 2.10, numbers output 60. We are told that it's common to print a rotating, increasing list of single-digit numbers at the start of a program's output as a visual guide to number the columns of the output to follow. With this in mind, we need to write nested for loops to produce the following output. We need to write each line, which is 60 characters wide. So we have these two lines, and each of them are 60 characters wide. Let's start with the first line right here. To output our first line, we know that we have 60 characters in here. 6 of them are going to be these lines, so we're going to have to output that 6 times. We'll do for int a is equal to 0, and we're going to run this as long as a is less than 6, and we'll do a++. And in here, we'll do a system.out.print, and we will output this line with this. But we also need to look at the spaces between each line, and there's 9 spaces in between each line. So we'll have a for loop, say for is b is equal to 0, and this is going to run as long as b is less than 10, so it outputs it 9 times. We'll do b++, and then in here, we'll have a system.out.print, and we will have spaces. So that way there will be 9 spaces here, and then a line, and then 9 spaces here and a line, until it does that for 6 times. Then after that, we'll do a system.out.print line, and this will give us a new line right here. So now we can look at the numbers here for our for loop. Well, we have to go from 1 to 9. So we'll have for int a is equal to 1, and we will run this as long as a is less than or equal to 10. And we're going to increment a by 1 every single time. And in here, we're just going to system.out.print a like this. That way we print 1 through 9, 10, all of these times. But we need to know how many times we are printing this. And we're printing this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So outside of this loop, this is going to be the nested loop. But outside of this loop, we're going to have a for loop that runs through this every 6 times. We'll have int a is equal to, we'll call this b, is equal to 0, and we're going to run this as long as b is less than 6, and then we're going to say b++, and then we're going to encase the for loop we just wrote, and we notice that we go from 1 to 9, then we output a 0. So this for loop outputs 1 through 9, and then we need a system.out.print that outputs a 0. And if we submit this code, it should run almost correctly, but we do have an error. And the difference is that we have a 0 that gets printed out twice. Well, we have a 1 and then a 0. So we can get rid of this equal sign because we notice that we have 1 too many rows of numbers in here, or 1 too many numbers in the second column. And then now we notice that we have this line that's not being printed out properly above the 0. So we could say that this is going to go back 1 space, so this will be less than 9. If we try it again, we can see that we have passed the test. So it's really just making sure the syntax is in order. We can actually make this code cleaner as well. We can make a public final, and we can call this size, and we can set a right here in this for loop. We can set a to be less than size. So size is going to equal 6. And then in this row right here, this is going to be size. And just for continuity, we should make these a and this next row b like this. And this is going to print out spaces and lines like this. This is going to make a new line, and this is going to print out numbers 1 through 9 and then a 0. So this is what everything does. We also note that we change this, so this is going to have to be B. Then if we submit this, it cannot be public since we're not in a method. It'll just be final int size. And if we restate that, we can rewrite it, and that is the output. We can do something similar for B, where we have a final int, and we can call this length, and set it equal to 10. And we can do length minus 1 here since this was 9, and length here, like this for B. If we submit it, if we put a semicolon up here, it should output the same exact thing. So it's just different ways to write this, and that is it for this problem.